everybody, it's Allie Edwards and welcome back to December Daily for 2022. I am here today with story number 14 in my album for this year, and I'm going with a super simple digital layered template. I used a layered template that we have available in the shop this year with the fun fa la la along the bottom. Lisa Varshine designed our layered templates for us this year, and I am going to show you in just a second here how I did this in Photoshop, and then I'll bring you back over here to my table to finish it off.
Hey everybody, it's Allie, and today for my December Daily Story, I am going to be using one of the 6x8 layered templates that we have in the shop. These can be super easy for putting a quick page together. I'm using Photoshop. The steps are similar in Photoshop elements, and let me show you how I am going to do this. So this is from the 6x8 December Daily layered template set for 2022, and right now it is a 6x8 page. And the first thing that I want to do is I actually want to make this page a little bit bigger because I want it to be outside of the page protector. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to double click on the background. That's just going to give me more flexibility. I'm going to come up under image, canvas size, and I'm going to change my canvas size to 7 by 8.25. That's just going to make it a little bit bigger, and make it the outside of the page protector size. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that white background, and I am just going to make some adjustments here. I'm actually going to hold down the shift key. In Photoshop right now, if you don't hold down the shift key, it maintains the correct proportions, which is great for lots of things. In this case, though, I don't want it to maintain the proportions. I want to be able to manipulate it myself. So holding down the shift key does that. I'm going to do the same thing by selecting the photo layer here, and I'm going to hold down the shift key to just stretch this out a little bit. And you're going to see what this ends up doing. So stretching that out, we've got the fa la la is right here. And I also want to stretch that out to be able to fit in there. So I'm going to hold down the shift key here as well to try to get it into those same spaces where it was previously. Okay, you can see that I'm just kind of moving it around a little bit. I'm still holding down the shift key, and I'm just kind of trying to move it just a tiny bit to try to get the whites out of there. And actually, once I put my photo on there, it's probably going to look a little bit different. So that's pretty good right there. I'm not going to do anything with the text right now. I'm actually going to end up deleting that and then adding in my own text. But you can see here, for the most part, I've set it up to the right size for the page that I am personally making here. So I just deleted that photo layer. What I'm going to do next is I already have my photo cropped, so I had already opened it. I am floating the window so that I can just simply select that photo layer and drag it with my move tool over onto, let's see, how can we do this here? It's because my background, I didn't let the background loose. I have now let the background loose, so I can drag it and bring it over here. I'm going to just sit it right on top of all of the layers right now, and then I have it over top of the photo layer here, or the actual photo is on top of the layer that I want it to be masked into. So that's the shape. So when we build these, we mark that as photo to tell you that, hey, look, a photo could go in this space. So over here, to be able to mask this photo inside, I'm going to hold down the Option key on a Mac. I think it's a Control key maybe on a PC. I'm going to click to bring that inside. Whoops, cancel there. And so now I have it actually inside of that shape. So it's masked inside. I'm going to come here to the fa la la shape, and I'm actually going to recolor that. So I am going to come over here. I'm just going to go to edit color, but first I need to rasterize that smart object. So now it's just a regular layer. I'm going to go to edit, fill, and I'm going to try, I just want to see what white looks like. Okay, that's where you can't really see it. So maybe let's try, I want to try grabbing a color from the photo there. So let's try like grabbing the red. So I'm going to grab the eyedropper tool over here. I'm going to bring it onto my photo. I'm going to grab the red color. You can see now that's over here in my color palette as my foreground color. So let's go to edit fill. I think we still make sure, yep, still on that layer, fill. Let's see what red looks like. I'm going to select foreground color and then click OK. With Photoshop, there's a million different ways to do things. So I might be doing something a little bit different than you would do it, and that's perfectly fine too. But I think this looks good. I like the red on there, and I think that that's probably what I'm going to go for. I'm going to just try moving it a little bit more to see if I can get it in the right spot. It's just a little, there we go. Okay, so now I don't see any white around those outside edges. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just drag and drop the text that I already did on this original one. At first I was thinking I would just do it that way, but then I decided I wanted to use the template. So I'm selecting my text, I'm dragging and dropping that over onto here, and I'm going to have to do some editing of that. The first thing that I need to do though is just change the color. So I'm going to select, I'm going to do, whoops, I don't want to do Command A there. I want to get back to this layer here, my text layer. So I'm going to grab the type tool and come in here. Now I'm selecting Command A, which will select all of the text. And I'm just double clicking on the black there for the black text to come up. And then I'm going to move it around a little bit based on the placement of where my the holes are going to be punched, whoops, along this edge over here is where my holes are going to be. So I want to probably make a little bit of an adjustment to there's a couple things I can do. Right now I feel like the text is too close to the bottom. So I think what I want to do is move all three of these layers up at the same time. So I've just come over here and I've selected the three layers that I want to move, and I'm just moving them up. I just decided, I said, nope, that's not in the right place for me. So I need to move it up a little bit, and then I can adjust this a little bit more if I want to move it around. But I think that I kind of like where it is. I like how it's tucked up there a little bit, but that it's still going to have space to cut out along the edge. So what I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to print it out and take a look at it, and then we'll see where we go next.
All right, so you just saw how I put this together in Photoshop. This then is printed out here at my house using my Epson 15000 printer, and it's the one that I've used for a number of years now and really like it. I use Epson premium glossy photo paper to print on, and it turns out great. And I love having the option of doing really simple pages like this in December Daily. For some people, this is how they organize their whole album, right? Is often using layered templates or digital thing, adding things onto their photo. So this is definitely a fun way to approach memory keeping. Definitely a little bit of a learning curve, but that's okay because learning helps keep our brains active and interested. So what I am doing right now is I'm just going to trim this to fit on the back of my story number 13 here, which was our wreath making workshop. And I'm simply just going to adhere that down on there. This, in a lot of ways, is what we call hybrid memory keeping. So in this case, I'm using a digital layered template to set up my page. I am printing it out, and then I am going to add maybe one or two physical embellishments on top. And so that's the whole concept of taking digital products and then using them in paper projects and potentially adding in physical embellishments along the way too. So that is always going to be up to you in terms of what you might want to add on there. But this is a lovely, simple way, especially nice, I think, to have it in the mix here with lots of pages, or a variety of pages that are super crafty or craftier, mixed in with some that are simpler. And also, of course, you can do something similar here without having the digital version on here, just by printing out your photo and then adding physical products on top there. What I'm thinking about adding, obviously, maybe not obviously, but obviously to me, is a number. That's one of the things that I am considering, and I might just do like a little 14 right here. I need to get another number 1 off of one of my other things. I used a bunch of these when I did like day 12, my story number 12. But I think just adding in a little 14 right here would be just right. Like it just really doesn't need a lot of extra stuff. And I, again, love having, you know, some single page things like this in the album mixed in with multi-page, multi-photo, lots of different options. I think that's one of the things that I really want you to take away as you watch my project evolve this year, is that there are lots of different ways that you can approach this, and, you know, approaching it different days, different ways, especially if you're working on it in real time, you know, based on the amount of time and energy you have and your skill level too. So lots of fun things to think about there. All right, so I am just adhering it down on there, then I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna use my X-Acto knife to make sure that I've got it trimmed off from the other side. I'm gonna punch my holes and then add my numbers on. All right, so I thought I had an extra sheet, another sheet of those numbers, but I don't. So I think that I'm going to just look in my stash. I have like the ones we used last year. I've got some of those gold ones. Maybe I'll use those ones right there. Looks like I don't have any white 1s and 4s. So I'm going to use the those puffy numbers, which are something that we've offered in the past. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, so there you go. That is a super simple page for story number 14, but you know what? I'm just gonna go with it. Actually, I might add one little gold star on there, see what I can find, or I might just leave it alone. I think it's nice to have a page like this, like I said. Okay, actually, I'm gonna add one more thing on here, which is I'm gonna add on one of these circles. These are they have a, they're like a puffy circle. And I think what I'm going to do though is pull off. You can actually pull off some of the foam there if you don't want it to be as thick. And I'm kind of getting to the point in my album where I really don't need everything to be super thick. But I like that added on right there. So I think I'm going to do that. And I probably, I'm kind of thinking like I wish that well, I could do one little, you guys know how once I start doing something, then I just want to do it every time. So let's just do another little stitch on this guy, and then I'll adhere it down on the photo. All right, as always, if you have questions, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you back here again tomorrow.